Carl Martin established a niche as a public address announcer, initially as a backup to the great John Condon at Madison Square Garden. Martin began filling in for Condon at college basketball and New York Knickerbockers games in 1966, eventually working the ECAC Holiday Festival, the National Invitation Tournament, NBA playoff games, and international matches in the Garden until 1987. He has the unique experience of working the only tie game in modern basketball history when the Chinese national team refused to play overtime against Rutgers. They had to get home to watch Scott Clark. He earned great distinction as a tennis announcer, handling the U.S. Open at the National Tennis Center for 11 years, as well as major indoor events such as the Virginia Slims Championships, the Volvo and Colgate Grand Prix Masters. Martin is also an experienced hockey announcer, beginning with the old ECAC Holiday Hockey Festival. He handled the late lamented New York Raiders and Golden Blades of the World Hockey Association from 1972 to 74, and then took over as voice of the Rangers at the Garden through 1986. He is also a licensed ring announcer who worked boxing in both New York and New Jersey for many years. With pride, we tonight induct into the New York Sports Hall of Fame and Museum, Carl Martin.
When I was a young fellow, just about at high school age, I used to hang out at the old Garden. And I was always interested in what I heard on the microphone. And one thing never escaped me. They had a great old guy who used to do the bit up there. And I was watching this amateur hockey game one Sunday afternoon. The game got way out of hand. The score was running along like 14-1 or something of that sort. And it was getting boring. But the game was winding down, and suddenly the red light was on, the goal was scored, and we had an unbelievably long hesitation. The game began to resume, but no announcement. Finally, the voice came on and said, that goal was scored by number 7, and his name is not on the program. Well, needless to say, I said to myself that day, I'm not going to let that happen to me if I ever get a microphone in my hands. But as destiny would dictate, my turn came several years later. I'd like to just tell you a couple of quickies on what happened. There was a Ranger game at which time Bruce Beck, who many of you may know, was doing the radio broadcasts. And the Rangers had a darling, tough guy whose name was Barry Beck. Well, lo and behold, the game wasn't underway too many minutes when the red light was on, the crowd was roaring, the siren was going, the referee skated over and signaled a number, and I got on the microphone, and I did it. I said, Ranger goal by number 3, Bruce Beck. And Barry skated over and said to me, Carl, for Christ's sake, I've been playing here for 4 or 5 years. This is the first time I scored one. You took it away from me. And then there was a basketball game at the same arena. And after doing the preliminary introductions without any boo-boos, I said, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Layton is at the organ. Here is our national anthem, and we took it from there. Along came a rookie out of Newark, New Jersey, kid named Mo. That's all I'm going to say at this point. And Red Holzman gave him a break. He put him into the game somewhere in the middle of the first period. Kid went on to score a career high of 34 points. His name was Mo Layton. And when he achieved his career high, I flubbed. I got on the mic and I said, those 34 points were scored by Eddie Layton. And needless to say, I never heard such zeal at the organ in my life. Eddie just played and played. He loved every minute of it. And then there was an incident that happened while I was doing a Friday night fight night televised show at the Felt Forum. And they had this Cuban heavyweight who couldn't punch his way out of a paper bag until that moment. He was getting creamed up there in the ring. He had a lot of strong support from his Latin counterparts over in Hudson County, New Jersey. Suddenly, he let go a haymaker, and he damn near killed the kid he was fighting. Now the kid is down. He's prone out like a light. And a gal come down leading the cheers, and she's jumping up and down like crazy. Well, you had to see this. I mean, you're talking about a real sexy girl with a real skimpy blouse, a lot to show. And as I leaned over to the timekeeper to get the time to make my pronouncement, she jumped up one more time, and I'm standing there with the camera zoomed right on my face and her body. At that point, her blouse came apart, and God's nature showed all over the place. I'll never, ever forget it. Well, we did the World Challenge Cup hockey series at the Garden, and it was at the time when the Russians completely dominated hockey play all over the world, and they took care of the United States and Canadians best. And to accommodate them, at the end of each period, we were required to pronounce things in Russian as well as English. And as the game wound up, it was my duty to say something that went like this: "Последний минуту конце игры," which translates in English, "This is the last minute of play in the game." Well, for me and others up here, it is indeed the last minute. So I thank you for listening, and I'm very proud to have an opportunity to be a participant here tonight. And I hope I hope and trust that you enjoy the rest of your evening and have a safe trip home when it's all over. Thank you very much.
For 4th Annual Induction Hall of Fame dinner here at the Sheraton New York, I have Carl Martin here. Now, it's not only a 4th Hall of Fame, you can imagine what that means to be here with Johnny Mize and Henrik and everybody.
Oh, gosh, I'll tell you, I remember his first game, and I may have seen his last one while he was a Yankee, and he was one of my all-time greats, my favorites.
How'd you break into the business?
Into PA? Actually, it was kind of by accident. I had been working with Net Irish and promotions and things of that sort, and they had a hole to fill one day, and I stepped in and apparently pleased them, and then my real shot came when Emil Francis had been listening to me doing the games with the Raiders at the time that they began the WHA, and he was pleased and asked me if I'd come in, and I did, and I enjoyed that association more than any.
A long career.
Yes, rather. Actually, this is the conclusion of my 50th year in sports in one fashion or another, but 30 plus years at the Garden were the best.
Who is some of your mentors growing up?
Well, John Condon, without question. I mean, I was very close with John because of our working together, and he's a fellow, I would say, more than anyone, who gave me the inspiration to go, to do the things. And he said to me, "Carl, when you get on there, just be yourself," and I tried to do that.
Anything in particular that stands out? Anything unusual?
Not anything that comes easy to recall. There were so many things that were exciting and things that made me feel like I was a part of something great.
Well, trying to get a little story out of you, maybe comical or slightly bizarre. I'm sure.
I tried telling a couple of those comicals up there, but the audience wasn't for it tonight. But there were many. Did you want me to repeat? No, okay. I just say one more that comes quickly to mind. It was at the U.S. Open, and it was a semifinal match between Martina Navratilova and Chrissy Evert. And as was our habit, we would then, following the introductions, we would then introduce the chair umpire. And we'd always have a little code card that would tell us where he was from. In this case, it was Jay Snyder, and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the chair umpire for this big match is Jay Snyder of Altoona, Pennsylvania." Now, he's climbing into his chair, and as I make this Altoona statement, he got a little flustered, and he caused his switch to go on with a live mic, and he said, "Altoona, where the heck did that come from? I haven't been there in 20 years. And Martina stood up with her racket and led the cheers. It was great. It was an exciting little touch, you know.
Carl, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself tonight, and we wish you lots of luck, and again, congratulations.
Thank you very much. You've been always very good with me.